I will few, George. Yesterday was Allan Lengel holiday. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Holiday.
Yeah, he was celebrating.
Oh, well, that's talk about outrage.
Detroit in black and white. I'm Adolph Mongo. We here at McShane's in Corktown. Lovely Corktown. Nice weather outside. Allan Lengel.
That's debatable.
Oh, it's nice weather. Allan Lengel
Oh,
from
here we go with the hands in the
Detroit.
face.
Yeah, we already said that before you came.
I use my left hand.
Vanessa Moss.
Good morning to all of the Detroit black and white viewers. Listen, if you're watching, we want you to like, subscribe, and share. If you're watching on YouTube, like, subscribe, and share. Hey, Dwayla, you can find us on all platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, X. You can also follow us on Deadline Detroit. If you want to see all of our past episodes, you can go on DetroitInBlackAndWhite.com. Good morning, everybody. She's back.
Yeah, we glad to have you back. We miss all your BS and stuff. But anyway, I'm Adolph Mongo. We're going to get right to the point. I go to you, Vanessa, since you just coming back. What's your outrage?
So my outrage is that there seems to be a group of people, and I don't know if it includes Allan or not, but there seems to be a great amount of people celebrating the conviction of the former president of 34 counts. Now he's a convicted felon. For me, it's nothing to celebrate. It is more of a commentary as to where we have come as a country. As a country, we decided to put this person in office. Okay, I may not support him, but people supported him. He was in office. He's been convicted of 34 crimes. As a defense attorney, that is nothing to celebrate. Now, let me say this. I do know that all of us have done things that we should not do, and that we all have to pay for our sins. But I do not think that this is a time to celebrate. This is the leader. He was the leader of supposedly the greatest country in the world, the most powerful person in the world.
Should we be mourning?
I'm not saying that we should be whining, but definitely not celebrating. I've seen all this stuff on social media. I just don't agree with it. I think it is a sad commentary.
Well, you missed it. You missed it back in when Richard Nixon resigned. I was a college student. We all celebrated when he got on Air Force One and waved goodbye to the American people. We say good riddance to a piece of whatever he was.
But
bye.
I don't think we all celebrated because I was a little girl and I remember that, and I remember it was very somber. I remember seeing him pull out the White House in a limousine.
You were in college.
I was in the land of Ann Arbor.
That's my outrage. It's not even an outrage. I'm just very sad that is where we are as a country.
Okay.
And that this guy is running for president of the United States, and people are supporting.
If it was Hillary Clinton, they would have been celebrating.
They would be shouting,
"Lock her up!" Now we saying, "Lock him up."
I just,
lock him up. But anyway, go ahead, Allan.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't like dancing in the street, but you feel like, there's some justice being done for a guy. I mean, it's like John Gotti, the guy, was Teflon Don. He kept getting off, and they finally got him. I mean, here's a guy who his whole life he's scammed people. He hasn't paid his bills with contractors. He had the university, the scam university. He had a foundation where he was taking money from donations for portraits of himself. I mean, the guy has gotten away with so much. He was He's got the civil case where they found that he did sexually assault this woman, and then he goes out and insults her again. I mean, here's the interesting thing is he's 77 or 78. I think 77, and generally, they say people that age for those crimes would get probation, but he shit on the judge. He's messed with witnesses. He's not contrite at all. He's not going to be apologetic. He's not going to be humbled at all. He's going to get some kind of custody.
Now, let me say this. I did not say that he should not be held accountable for what he did.
Right.
I'm saying it's a sad commentary as to where we are as a country.
Well,
that is
if you got the former president on trial and he gets convicted, yeah, it is a sad.
It's very sad.
But sometimes listen, a chicken's coming home to roost.
I don't think I don't think that he is going to get any time. But let me say this. I don't know. I'm not rubbing the crystal ball, but for someone when you're in court and your day of sentencing, the judge wants to see. I was just in court the day before yesterday on sentencing. Wants to see whether or not you're contrite, okay? Right. Whether or not you acknowledge what you've done, okay? Whether or not you disregarded the court orders during the process. Those are things that the court takes
into consideration.
But they also take into consideration your record. If you don't have a criminal record, they look at that. They also look at your age. So there are a lot of things that the judge looks at, and they have.
If I was that judge, and the way he had threatened his daughter, threatened him, listen. But anyway, my outrage of the week is Clarence Thomas, who said that the Brown versus Board of Education, Topeka, Kansas, in 54 was overstepping. Overstepping what? In other words, he is saying that he wish he can revisit it where they can bring segregation back to America.
I would opine that listen, just a few weeks ago, I wasn't here. We celebrated, there was a celebration of that court's decision. I would say that it's still separated.
Yes.
It is not equal.
But it's not legal.
Separated, and it's not. That's the reality.
Yeah, but it's not legal. It's not legal segregation where if I go down somewhere and they got a sign that says no dogs, no blacks, no Irish, and all this other bullshit that they used to do. That's what Clarence Thomas is talking about. Oh, a person has the right to discriminate. The GOP has a right to gerrymander these districts where they shut out black voters.
Is he saying that, or is he?
No,
he's saying that because the federal government doesn't have the right to discriminate. If you have a public school system getting money from the federal government, you don't have the right to discriminate.
Yeah, Clarence Thomas used every affirmative action program, everything to better himself. And then,
how old is this guy? You know how old he is?
70-something. And he's been on the court since he was in his 50s. He's
75.
He's a piece of garbage. His wife is a piece of garbage. And he should recuse himself from all these election cases. And
Alito should.
Both of them.
I think that's ridiculous. That's okay.
The problem is John Roberts, who's the Chief Justice, is letting this court go rogue. I mean, he should be pressuring them.
He need to be arrested. You need to do what Lincoln did. You know what Lincoln did.
Them. So what?
No, you can't fire him.
You can impeach him.
Look, I had a conversation with you, Jim, and you said I'm gonna do what the heck I want to do. What am I supposed to say?
Jim said that.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying, what in the heck is he supposed to do?
Well, anyway,
I think the judge, in conference said, look, our credibility.
How do you know
they got no credibility.
Yeah.
So you dealing with insane rogues.
Yeah.
That's sitting up there on
They
the
don't
bench.
give a shit.
Right.
They don't care. They're on a mission, man. It's like a movie where you see like these people are planted and they're working for whatever.
The Stafford wives. They've been replaced with robots.
Right. Yeah. There's soon to be a motion picture.
Your outrage of the week, Allan.
Well, mine was really about really John Roberts not doing.
Okay.
I mean, he should put down his foot and say, look, you guys are out of control. You're taking gifts from people. You're letting wealthy people who have cases before the court influence you guys. And Clarence Thomas saying the fact that, well, my wife and I don't discuss, conflicts of interest you don't have to prove that there was conversations or whatever. Conflicts of interest are about appearances. You're living with this woman who's a maniac, who's out there.
Woman. It's his wife.
It's his wife.
But you know what he said. You know what he said.
His wife.
Wait a minute, but he disrespect millions of women. He's saying, "Oh, I can't control my wife. She got her own mind." Well, motherfucker, what about you? What about you?
Supposed to have her own mind in a marriage?
But
I bet you wouldn't run that by Jody. I bet you wouldn't do that.
But
I bet you would not do that, sir.
Why don't you zip it? And let me say what I'm going to
talking about.
Let me say what I'm going to
This is
say.
an example of what I'm talking about.
You don't want to hear it, do you?
Me, and you ain't my husband.
That's why you don't have one.
No, listen.
That's why your nice husband.
You wasn't married to him.
He the nicest guy in the world. That's my man. He good. But he's right about his wife having her own mind, voice, etc. But he's saying for all these women in America, I control your body.
Right. Well,
you can't do what you want to do.
Nell Scoville in the Daily Beast writes, while he has control over every woman's baby-making uterus, he does not have control over his wife's flag-lowering arms.
Right.
And that's exactly what you're saying there.
So
he's quiet now.
No, I'm not quiet.
Yes, you are. There it is.
You guys are talking about Roe v. Wade. No, you're talking about Roe v. Wade.
Yeah.
I think what the court said is that we can't, as a rule of law, we can't tell a woman whether she can have an abortion or not have an abortion. That's what I understand it as. Well, abortion,
they got rid of it.
Abortion.
They got rid of it.
That abortion is illegal, but it's up to the states to decide whether or not they're going to allow legal abortion. So, what I submit happening is that women who can't have an abortion in Mississippi will travel to Michigan and get an abortion.
But guess what they're doing now?
So
guess what they're doing? In those states that don't allow abortions, they're passing laws that saying if you take somebody to get an abortion, like your teenage daughter pregnant, you're going to get prosecuted. You're going to go to jail for 10 years or 20 years. And if you're a doctor, you're going to lose your license in this state. So California just passed a law saying that the doctors from Arizona could come to California and perform abortions. Louisiana is passed a law that says if you take an abortion pill, you're going to jail for a decade.
I think if you don't have a prescription.
So
if you don't have a prescription, so get a prescription.
But if it was up to the states, that they say, okay, it's just up to the states. Okay, you against abortion, you for abortion. But now the states that's against abortion is going out of their way to make sure you don't go to Florida or you don't go to Michigan or you crossing state lines. It's like the fugitive slave law. Listen, if you can go up there and start picking up folks and locking them up. But
So we start off this conversation to bring it back about the justices and their wife, and I still submit that they can't control you can't control what she does.
Well, but what she does is she tainted the court.
I'm not the judge in the house. That's what he's basically saying.
And ain't no question.
You know what?
He's a piece.
Well, I'll tell you this: you'll see.
She runs the house.
You'll see journalists who and I know one anchor in town. His wife would like to be more active in politics and stuff, but she doesn't out of respect for his job. And
what is she, a trumpet?
No.
Oh, she one of those other ones?
Yeah.
Okay,
And so,
we're gonna take a break. Come back with our first guest, George Jackson.
Because I live in Detroit, I was able to get tuition-free college through the Detroit Promise. I feel very fortunate working with the Detroit Promise. They were able to afford me so many opportunities. I'm currently studying media production and journalism at University of Michigan Dearborn. I'm looking to take my talents further into the production industry, short films. I love working with people here, and this is where I want to be. And that's why I'm Detroit for life.
I'm here.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. Are you living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, or maybe you know someone who's in the same situation? The probate process may be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. We have several nonprofit partners who have free attorneys who can assist you. Contact our office, 313-224-5990, or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. Don't lose your family property. Some of these properties have been in the family for 4 or 5 generations. Contact us now. We're here to help.
The oversight.
We're back.
We're back. Hey, how you doing, George?
Hey, how
Jackson,
you doing?
Former CEO of DEGC, whether that's
Detroit Economic Growth Corporation, and before that, I was with DT Energy. Retired from there.
I remember that.
I'm a failure retired.
Oakland University grad,
Oakland,
Navy
Central,
vet.
Navy veteran. Yeah,
Okay.
only lottery I ever won. Was military draft lottery.
What high school did you go to?
Cooley High School.
Cooley.
And went to Oakland University and then Central Michigan.
Okay, good.
So you were West Side.
Yes, I'm definitely a West Side.
Oh, okay. That's what's up.
Livernois and the Lodge.
Okay.
Well, it's ironic we here in Fort Town
Yeah.
because when you was the CEO of DEGC,
Yeah.
you had to fight these folks across the street when Tiger Stadium didn't want to go away. It was like a bad penny coming back, man. Tell us about that.
Well, it was one of those things that by the time I was here at the stadium, they weren't playing for the years. It was rotting. It was expensive to maintain, and everybody had great ideas, but nobody had the money to back up those ideas they had. So, bottom line is we gave, I think, more than enough time for people to raise money and all the money wanted to come up with, but they had a $30 million plan and they couldn't raise any money. And in the meantime, the conditions of the stadium in itself were faltering. It's getting worse. Secondly, there was more support for demolishing the stadium than what the press was writing about. I mean, they seem to have this core group of people who said this is for the kids, even though these guys were older than me. And I didn't see
It
the
was
kids
playing every weekend.
Yeah. And reliving their memories, and that's nice. I understand that. I mean, I used to go to Tiger Stadium. I took the Dexter bus or the Linwood bus over here, and would go and sit in the bleachers. I was a regular actually at the stadium.
$4 for bleachers.
It's $3. I remember it was $1.50.
Oh,
Yeah. But you're right. I mean, so it was a big part of my life was going to see the Tigers. Me and my buddies get on the bus and come on down.
Who's
Started
your
with my
favorite
grandfather.
Tiger?
Oh man, I used to love Rocky Colavito.
Oh wow.
The OK line, Billy Bruton, and the Tigers were kind of late at having African American players.
My thing.
No, it was kind of interesting because I remember every time I would go to the stadium when I was young, I would come with my grandfather. So, but I noticed that every time we went, they were playing the same team. and it was usually the Cleveland Indians or Chicago. And I'm like, that's not the only teams they played. My grandfather said, no, because the Tigers didn't have black players originally. They were one of the last teams to have black players, them in Boston.
Right.
And the American League was behind the National League as a whole. But then Cleveland and White Sox. And so he said, that's why we here, because that's the only time we see a black ball player. And so I thought they was like the Harlem Globetrotters, where they just played the Washington Generals or something, you know. But anyway, you know, so near and dear to my heart, but sometimes things have to go. Hell, they tore down the original Yankee Stadium.
Right. How did you get the tail to come through that?
Well, several plans were put before us, and one had a mixed use, which is pretty much what you have today, where they would keep a field, but also have development on it. Secondly, I met with the business people here on this stretch, Trumbull and Corktown and whatnot. Most of the business people didn't want a field only, and they supported a mixed use type of facility. And they signed an endorsement of that, and I did get several proposals where they basically had the field, and then they surrounded the field and with development, because they didn't want a dead spot, especially in the wintertime. Nobody's going to be using it,
Right.
and but they wanted activity. They wanted to increase density, which you now have, which you didn't have back then. And so the majority of people really were not in favor of not tearing down the state.
So you think that development over there, the Pale Field, led to
Interesting how we
the
got there.
redevelopment of the train station. We got new hotels and new apartment buildings, condos.
Well, I think that it fits in better than just having an empty field for half the year, and activating it. And how Pale got involved. Well, I kept hearing about, oh, we're doing this for the kids, but I never saw kids. I didn't see kids involved, and I see anything. And so at the time, and it was mainly people that didn't even live in the city who were driving a lot of this. But so I ended up, I just so happened that my son worked for Pale. I was a big donator. I kept donating money to Pale. And I knew the leadership there. And so we had a great idea. I said, well, where are these kids at? And so I never noticed any kids from Detroit being included in this. So I said, well, we're going to have kids here. We're going to have kids from Detroit. We met I met with the leadership of Pale. I think it was at Beverly Hills Grill. And I said, I'm going to say this. I'm going to support a mixed use. And I think I got the mayor to support it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to proceed with the demolition, build a field, keep the field, but not the same dimensions, but we'll keep some of the field. And but I want Pale, would you consider you being the youth that play on this field? And it's still open to other people to play on.
Well, Schoolcraft College, that's their home field.
Right. What year? We're
I'm trying to
about all
think.
these discussions. And who was the mayor?
It started with this all started with between Kilpatrick and then Cockle. I remember it was kind of interesting once you bring that up, because we had a little issue in terms of the demolition contract. And so Bobby, well, he didn't win. And somebody was mad about that. And I really didn't give a damn if they were mad about it. Now, the interesting part about it was the argument that was made was, we want to make sure it's a black demolition, black demolition. I said, okay, I'm just sitting there listening. Called my guy who made the decision. Another thing that was driving our decision and the timing of it was, we found out that when we did the demolition at that time, the scrap value means that we could actually demolish it for free instead of writing a check for it.
Wow.
Because we could sell the scrap. So we rebid. When the scrap market changed even more, we rebid. We dropped the first bid, rebid, and basically we made money on it. But the thing about it, though, is getting back to the point that I was making, is that actually the demolition company was Mike Farrell. he's African American, and so he did get the contract. And somebody, I just said, hey, that's how it is. I never let other people make decisions for what I'm responsible for.
George, that's quite interesting because I mean, as someone that's on the outside, you just see, oh, they built, PAL headquarters and all of that. But it's great for our viewers to know about all the intricate details that go behind planning it, like
It's
the
true in almost
scrap
everything.
value,
Yeah.
and how you're
All
able
that
to
goes
make
into it.
money as opposed to
Right.
losing money.
Mhm.
That's important. I think those are the things that we need to know. And I know that eventually going to get to the question about the Renaissance. I can't wait for you.
Well, I want to ask him before we go that route. Grand Prix back downtown.
Yeah.
Your view of that.
I like it back then. I thought Belle Isle, it was hard to get on and off the island. I spent more time getting off the island than I did actually watching the race.
Yeah.
Plus, you screwed up Belle Isle. Belle Isle already has a lot of problems in terms of water issues, drainage, things of that nature. And I don't necessarily feel, and it's a place of nature. Really.
They're tearing the old slough down. Is that a good idea?
What?
A children's zoo.
It's not being utilized, and the current zoo really has its own. Is a great zoo, and it's expensive.
So
They
we don't need another zoo.
Not necessarily. No.
What do you think about
It's
the?
a place of nature, and that's what it should be.
Yeah.
What do you think about the train station development?
I said this years ago when I remember somebody was always wanting to keep the train. I said, it may have to be demolished, but whoever does that project has to have more than a profit motive. It has to be something that is very, that you really just want to do something for the community.
Right.
So it can't just be an entity that is there for just to make money, but it had to be an act of benevolence, and that's what Ford has done.
Yeah, are you happy
They
with?
put a ton of money.
Yeah.
I mean, and I tell you, I've known some of the background on that. I mean, it's way more than what they thought.
Well,
But it's beautiful. I like what they're saying. I'll be at the opening and all that. But I tell you, it's I think this is a wonderful thing.
before we ask you about the Renaissance, name some of the projects you were involved with.
Oh boy, Little Caesars Arena, Ford Field, Book Cadillac Hotel, Broadway Tower. This was one of the projects, but we've done a number of buildings. I mean, we did over 80 improvement buildings, and then we redid Woodward, the streetscapes on Woodward, Broadway, Washington Boulevard, turned it back into a boulevard.
And quickly, the Element Hotel, that was going the Metropolitan building was going to be torn down.
Yeah, there
How did
was
that
a
come?
desire to tear that building down, and we felt that we wanted to keep that building. So we didn't just tear stuff down. We only did that if it was absolutely necessary. We ended up at that time, I think even Gilbert and Company wanted it torn down. We basically disagreed and said, let's try to, and then all of a sudden they claimed stuff was falling off the buildings, hit a truck and all this. And magically this truck showed up. And we said, no, we're going to go with it. And there was some interference attempted, and we resisted that. And we ended up finding a development team that was willing to do it. We looked at it, reviewed it, and said this could be done. It was a feasible project. I had a great project management team and construction managers at DETC when I was there. And we were doing most of that work for the city anyway, as opposed to it being done by the city.
Now, what about tearing down that monstrosity called the Renaissance Center?
Yeah. The Renaissance Center is a beautiful, iconic building from an architectural standpoint. It's a nightmare for the end user. Only from the standpoint that it's a very difficult building to navigate. I think that it is a very expensive building to in terms of maintaining your carrying costs and things of this nature. I would say that as we look at what to do with it, we should put on the table all options from partial build out to demolition. And that if we could find a way to make it work, and that it also is cost effective, that's going to be key, because I think, it's going to be an expensive ordeal if you want to keep it or you want to change this ownership, the use, because we don't need more office space.
Right.
So
what would the use be that you see is if they were to keep it or if they were to raise it? What are the
or a
uses?
partial. It could be a partial, but I mean, the only thing you really are looking at is something like residential stuff.
It seems like a sort of a daunting.
It's an expensive proposition.
Yeah,
to
it-
retrofit a building like that. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
It doesn't make financial sense, or somebody gonna come along and say, I got enough money, like somebody has done in this town before, and we're gonna try to make this thing work.
Right.
And not be as an act of benevolence. But so the property itself, the reuse of it could be just more access and openness to the waterfront.
And no question.
Yeah.
We're gonna take a
So-
break and come back and wrap it up with George Jackson, former CEO of DEGC.
Fellas, I'm new in town, and I've been here a couple times. I absolutely love your place, man. But I've got to ask you, if you can, I've heard that you're going to be shutting this place down.
I'm not proud of it, brother, but we're behind our property taxes. The county is all over us, man. I'm even afraid to even give them a call.
Well, we can't let it go, brother. I mean, we can't give up. There's got to be a GoFundMe campaign that we can run, even past the plate. Is there a forgiveness program or something that's out there?
Well, unfortunately, that's only for the big guys. No, actually, Wayne County has payment plans for everyone.
Are you for real?
Yes, it's a well-designed program. We want to help you save your business.
That's what I'm talking about.
I'm Wayne County Treasurer Eric Sabri. If you have delinquent taxes on your home or business, contact our office, 313-224-5990, or visit our website, treasurer.waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
Got it.
Without Project Clean Slate, there is no telling where I would be right now.
It gave him back his life, because once he got the felony, it seemed like life was over.
Being unemployed, being depressed, being a burden. Project Clean Slate helped wipe those things away. I can't say thank you enough. I am now able to work for a reputable airline. Detroit had my back, all because I live in Detroit.
Well, we're back with George Jackson. George, what are you doing now?
Do some consulting. I'm definitely leaning more now towards looking and acting like I'm retired, but I am doing an industrial park in Arizona where I winter, and I ended up getting involved in a project out there in Mesa, Arizona. It's 180,000 square foot.
I thought you were going to say it's 180 degrees. It's hot as hell. It's the summertime.
Well, in the summertime, it is pretty hot. That's why I'm here. It's too hot to play golf in the summer. So
you can throw a frozen chicken on the side.
Are you a golfer?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, a good one.
I ain't that good. I have fun though. I enjoy it. Yeah, I don't take it too
Half
seriously.
Detroit live out there, though.
Yeah, a lot of folks in there.
Yeah.
No problem.
So
A lot of them think they live in my house too in the wintertime. My buddies.
So George, when we took a break, you and I had a conversation.
Yes.
I think it's important for the viewers to know. I asked you, I said, hey, it sounds like you were pretty busy. There was a lot of sleepless nights.
Oh, without a doubt. Now, that was a high pressure job, and I was in it for almost about 13 years.
Yeah. And
I
so,
plan to be there 4.
okay. And do you miss it at all?
No, I don't miss it.
Okay.
I'm glad I did it though. I really enjoyed it from the standpoint of I never was bored. But yeah, a lot of sleepless nights. There's a lot of you deal with a lot of issues. You deal with. I probably was the only one. I think I'm the only person that was the president of the Economic Growth Corporation who was there for more than one mayor. I went through 4, and then I knew I was going to leave.
It's time to go.
It was time to go, and so from that standpoint, I just have a lot of gratitude for having done it though, because I actually feel that I contributed to where the city is today.
Absolutely. Now, I think that is wonderful. Not only did you grow up in the city,
Yeah.
you were educated in the city, and that you have left your mark all across the
Yeah.
city of Detroit. And a lot of people don't know that. So
What boards are you sitting?
Now I'm on the DEGC. They gave me a emeritus status, which means I'm old. And the DEGC, growing Detroit Frank Conservancy.
Yeah, well, I asked you about that.
Yeah, I know.
I'm gonna ask you about that.
But
I want to borrow some of that money.
yeah, so I sit there. I'm a chairman of the Detroit Foreign Trade Zone, a chairman of the board of Detroit Foreign Trade Zone as well.
Okay, you
In
got
Arizona, I'm a president of a board for Jazz Arizona. I'm a jazz fanatic, and I got involved in
Yeah,
jazz.
nice
board.
jazz.
Where in Arizona?
We have a jazz club in downtown Phoenix, and we also are establishing and we also have a huge education program.
Where are you living at?
Scottsdale.
Scottsdale, North Scottsdale, or
I'm just
You're in Paradise Valley, right?
Paradise.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, Paradise Valley. Yeah.
You got one last question.
Yeah, so you mentioned the Detroit Conservancy.
Yeah.
Nonprofit. What's up with it? Is there any oversight? What the heck happened here?
Well, I think that what you're going to find though is that, I got to be careful with that because it's an ongoing investigation.
Right.
But I do feel that you will see, and it was announced yesterday, changes being made in regards to oversight and things of that nature.
Yeah.
Must not have been enough.
Well, I tell you what, and also sometimes people are pretty good at what they do, even when it's illegal.
Oh, right.
And Richard Campbell is on the run, right?
So, but from that
Our
standpoint,
viewers may not even know what we're talking about.
but from that standpoint, we really have to make sure that
We're talking about the
moving
chief
forward,
financial officer.
yeah,
And he's been accused of.
and he's been terminated and accused of stealing or used some money.
Right.
Possibly
I think it's like $40 million. And then the person that was working under him, they said they got rid of him, but he's staying on to train the next person. I didn't understand
No,
that.
that'd be the CEO.
Okay.
Well, they want to. When your two top people are leaving, that's a big gap there. So to bring somebody in, he's just going to be there for a short period of time. As part of the transition.
Okay.
Yeah. Now he has not been accused of any wrongdoing.
Okay, great. He just
Let's clarify that.
He failed because of
That could happen to a CEO.
That's terrible.
Yeah, it's terrible.
That's terrible.
It's very sad, the situation. And it's a lot of money, and it's a good cause. And let's not forget, it's a good project. The city is a great project for the city. And I think you'll find that the proper modifications, changes in governance will be made. Yeah.
Yeah.
But everyone goes in these things with trust, and then every now and then you run into somebody who.
So how did they find out?
Yeah,
how did they find out? Do you know?
I think there was some improprieties in terms of the one foundation that was funding the West Riverfront, the West River Foundation. One of their program managers said there was the prices seem to be a little bit inflated.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in construction, a lot of games could be played.
Right. Right.
So,
we're gonna have to bring you back, George.
Sure. We'd love to come back.
Yeah, George Jackson, former CEO of DEGC. Right. Thank you, George.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. So we have our next guest here, ML Elrick. We've got ML Elrick coming on. We're going to
better known as the boogeyman of Detroit. You say his name in some circles, they start running. They start running.
All right. So we've got ML Elrick, who's an investigative reporter for the Detroit Free Press and a Pulitzer Prize winner. He just came back, spending several days up in Mackinac.
Waste of time.
Where we'll see.
Busy.
Yeah,
working on campaign stuff.
We're going to see if we can get him over here.
He busy having a sideline conversation with George Jack. They're having a reunion over there.
Hey, Michael.
All right, and here he is. Fresh from the east side of Detroit.
So did you party a lot up at Mackinac?
So I can't remember.
You can't remember.
So you did.
Maybe the blackout.
You know, some people have lost their jobs after Mackinac in past years because they went up there and got drunk and did all kind of crazy stuff. Do they still do that?
Let's just say that there are a lot of establishments that appear to be open after the posted closing hour. And I will say that on my way back to my place on the very back end of the island, I did walk up the hill behind a certain state senator who did not seem to be walking a straight path. But since there's no cars, it was okay.
That smell, man, I can't. I hate Mackinac, man. The horses. Oh man!
If you don't like the manure, don't like horse shit, stay out of politics.
Right.
Some
like
horse
that.
shit, but not that horse shit. Okay.
So what, any observations up there? I mean, when you go up there, you see all the people glad handing and schmoozing and connecting. Is it heartening or like noxious to see? How would you describe the scene up there?
Well, I mean, as Adolph alluded to, it's the one place I can go where people who don't want to see me have no choice but to see me because you're on an island. So
Right.
there's no place to go.
Right.
So for me, it's Fantasy Island. For other people, it may be the island of Dr. Moreau. I don't know because there are a lot of freaks up there too. But no, things get done. People talk. It's good to have that face-to-face opportunity. You know, it originally started on, I believe, the Bobolo boat with a bunch of old businessmen, a bunch of old white guys getting drunk and hiring hookers until Reverend Nicholas Hood said no more, cleaned it up. Then they moved up to the island.
Yeah.
Then it was still a bunch of old white guys with a bunch of booze and maybe, I don't know who else was there. But over the years, it's become more diversified. Now there's more nonprofit people there than there used to be, which is why there's fewer business people because they know when they run into nonprofit people, like, hey, I want to tell you about my program. There used to be a Republican domination, but now the Democrats are in power. You don't see that many Republicans. And you used to see candidates come there and try and make their career. Jennifer Granholm famously was sort of her coming out party was at the Mackinac Island Policy Conference when McNamara and the Mackinac Policy Council, when McNamara and Duggan took her around and said, this is our next Attorney General. You don't see this much anymore. Mike Rogers and Alyssa Slotkin were supposed to be the stars of a big senatorial debate. They both chickened out.
Did they show up at all
to
the island? Or?
I did not see them, but I'm kind of going a different place. But I'm told they were there.
But the big news was the mayor endorsed Mary Waters.
Right.
What you think of that?
That caught a lot of people by surprise. And I'm writing about that in my On Guard column for the Free Press. $1 for 6 months subscription.
Wow, can't beat that.
You can't beat that. You know, initially a lot of people speculated that this is to help him with his gubernatorial race. He's going to make some friends that he might need if he runs for governor, as everybody expects him to do in 2026. And I think there's something to that. But the more I thought about it, the more I think it's part of Duggan's absolute, unshakable belief that the key to Detroit's turnaround has been good relations between the mayor and Detroit City Council. He's been saying that for 10 years. Now, some people think one of the problems with Detroit is that we don't have our checks and balances anymore because the mayor says jump and city council says out a window. Where do you want me to jump? But they get along really well. And when Mary stood there with the mayor and Sam Rill introduced the whole affair, most of the city council was lined up behind them. And even earlier in the week, Duggan had once again from one of the seminars said, you know, the key to our revival has been good relations between the mayor and city council. So I have to believe that has a lot to do with it. It's also a freebie, right? I mean, not that many people really like Sri Tanadar.
I was just going to ask you, what is his relationship?
Except for Adolph.
Yeah.
What is his relationship with the mayor and the city of Detroit owners, period, in your opinion?
Sure. Well, so the mayor said that he doesn't think that Tanadar has been working very hard as represented in Detroit with the energy that Mary can and the resourcefulness that Mary can. But Sri is kind of, you know, I think he was really smart when he ran for Congress to kind of make fun of himself. So he's almost become like a comic figure.
Right.
And so I think he has sort of I don't want to say a cult-like status, but I think more people like him than people think. But in terms of people in power and people in politics, the man has very few friends.
Right.
And he'll whine about it too. He's like, everybody's out to get me. Well, I cry this many tears for millionaires. But for Duggan, you know, she's probably.
Do she have a shot? Would money come to her now? That before nobody was giving her anything.
Yeah, I think
Would that open up the purse string?
I think some will. If you remember, Mary ran for at-large city council in 2021. Should have had no chance at all. Then the feds raid Janae Ayer's office and her home, as well as those of her chief of staff and city council member Scott Benson and his chief of staff Carol Banks. Benson just kept rolling. He's like, nothing to see here.
Right.
And then Janae kind of took it really hard and kind of fell back. Mary sort of surged forward, and as that happened, some money came to Mary, and Mary had enough money to do a little bit of advertising, a little bit of mailing and stuff, and then she pulled it out. I think the same thing could happen here. I think any dollar that was going to go to Adam Ollier now will either stay in people's pockets or it will go to Mary. And Adam's done.
Yeah. We're going to talk about that when we come back. We're going to take another break.
Because I live in Detroit, I was able to get tuition-free college through the Detroit Promise. I feel very fortunate working with the Detroit Promise. They were able to afford me so many opportunities. I'm currently studying media production and journalism at University of Michigan Dearborn. I'm looking to take my talents further into the production industry, short films. I love working with people here, and this is where I want to be. And that's why I'm Detroit for life.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabria, your Wayne County Treasurer. If you're living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, the probate process can be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
I'm surrounded by Spartans.
We are back. We're back here.
What are you?
So I
Wayne State University.
she's a Tartar.
She's a Tartar.
A warrior.
That's right.
A warrior.
That I am.
So let me
That
ask you, Barry
I am.
Waters, two things. How would you rate her if you're able to, in terms of the effectiveness of being a council member, and what would, she has a conviction for? Is it a misdemeanor?
Yeah, I think in the end, what she pleaded guilty to was a misdemeanor for some sort of filing a false tax return charge. But the truth is, she copped a plea because she was charged with being part of a bribery scheme orchestrated by Sam Riddle to get a Southfield councilman to pledge that he would support or would not oppose a pawn shop. Yeah. So Sam got in trouble. Sam was tried and had a hung jury the first time. He got in a little bit of trouble because of I think what he would call a misunderstanding with Mary. Other people saw it a little differently. And so he was facing state charges, a possible retrial on the federal charge, and reached a global settlement to settle everything. But Sam has always said he could have beat both cases. And I think it's possible. But he's always said the reason he did that was so that the feds would lay off of Mary, so they wouldn't try and lock her up. And so he basically said, I went to prison to keep Mary free, and they've been partners ever since. And
She was a good state rep.
Yeah.
Now, when she was a state rep, she was pretty good. There's no question. But the question is her hanging out with Mr. Riddle.
Well, that's a
I like Sam.
difference because
I like Sam, but I like Adolph too, and Allan. So no, but yeah, I mean, it's Mary was well liked when she was a state rep.
Yeah.
She's run for Congress multiple times.
Right.
Hasn't
This
made
is
much
her
of an
fourth
impact. Some of us were wondering if she's going to run for mayor, which I guess if she doesn't win the congressional race, she could. But I don't watch council as close as I used to, so I can't speak to how well she's done on council. But the mayor was effusive in his praise. He says she's been a big advocate for housing, for elderly issues, that she's brought a lot of energy to council. She's brought a lot of tenacity. And he gave her credit for seeing some major initiatives come into being. So, if you take the mayor's word for it, she's been a good council person.
And this is an incumbent mayor not endorsing an incumbent congressperson. That's unheard of most of the time, unless that congressperson was doing something crazy.
Yeah, it's unheard of, in the number of sitting office holders who are Democrats who are endorsing an opponent of the incumbent Democratic
Right.
congressman.
Right.
Jocelyn Benson got out early for Adam Ollier. Now, most of them endorsed Ollier,
Right.
but we're starting to see the sands shift with Ollier knocked off the bat. In fact, here's something that came out last week that kind of surprised me. Hakeem Jeffries endorsed Sri Canada. So there are endorsements coming now that probably wouldn't have fallen this way now that Ollier's out of it.
Now, Jeffries really can't come to Detroit and say he's been a great congressman.
No.
Ain't no way.
But
But there are members of the Congressional Black Caucus who have endorsed Ollier. So it's not a matter of congressional members endorsing congressional members. This is getting weird.
I went to the NAACP dinner, was it last week or week before last, and Sri was there. And it struck me as it was like he was on an island by himself. It was just the optics was it was very interesting. Very
Hanson Clark
interesting.
2020.
Right? Yeah.
Without the red suit.
What?
Remember that red suit?
Exactly.
Well, at least
And I
he's
was
not
like,
living in
wow.
his office like Hanson was.
So
Well, I know where Hanson grew up, just off of Gratiot. I would live in my office if that was my home. That was a tough neighborhood.
So
So what else? What else was going on while you were up there in Mackinac? The verdict came down in the Trump case. What was the reaction of people up there? Did you talk to some politicians or the reporters? What was the general? I remember when I was at the Washington Post. One of the editors got mad. It was election night in 2004, and Kerry was running. And some people on the national desk saw initially Kerry was surging, and they were getting excited. And some of the editors didn't like, oh my gosh, you're showing bias there. Was there? What were you seeing up there?
Let me say this: we knew when we got here this morning that his conversation is always going to go back around to the guy that occupies the space in his head for free. We knew that was going to happen.
I'm sending him an invoice. So.
I mean, he wasn't on Mackinac Island. Go ahead and answer the question.
He's everywhere. He's omnipresent.
He's not for me. Okay. But I will say this: you did talk about you brought up Mary Waters' conviction. City council at large. Now she's running for Congress. We have a guy who's been convicted 34 times, has 34 convictions.
Right.
He's running for president for the United States.
Felony
Right.
conviction.
But he's running for president of the United States.
Right.
I'm just saying. Go ahead and answer his question.
Sure. So the news came down right around
Thank
5
you,
o'clock,
attorney.
as folks might remember, which is when most of us are on deadline. So I was in the press room working, and I got to tell you, there's nothing harder than trying to write something that you're not that excited about when something you're very excited about happens.
Mm-hmm.
And you could feel the energy go through the press room. I was telling my colleagues, most of whom are so young they might not have been alive when this happened, but the last time I was around that many reporters, when a major criminal decision came down, I was sitting in a courtroom in, yeah, that's a good one too. Yeah, okay, that wins. My man said Kwame Kilpatrick. How could I forget that? But the one I remember before that was sitting in an Isabella County courtroom when Sheriff Bill Hacker was convicted of rape about 20 years ago. And that was the same sort of moment.
He was
where
set
it's
up,
just like,
though, but
whoa.
when he set up.
I don't think he was set up,
Yeah,
but I think there certainly was a misunderstanding between the victim and the perpetrator about what was supposed to happen in that hotel room. And when you're wrong about that, it's rape. He was convicted. He did his time. But how can I forget about Kwame Kilpatrick?
So you were
speaking about somebody who lives in.
Well, you wasn't around.
The thing is with Kilpatrick, he lives rent free and then claims he doesn't owe you the rent. So,
listen, you wasn't around when Nixon waved goodbye on the plane, and I was telling Vanessa we were celebrating that we was up in that little liberal town of Ann Arbor, saying good riddance to a bad penny. He had to go.
Plus, he made way for a Wolverine to become president.
In this case.
What?
That's not going to happen in this case.
Well, Lyndon Johnson said Gerald Ford played football without a helmet. Well, anyway.
That may explain the part.
Quickly, mayor's race.
Well, so there's some changes, and I'm going to be reporting this in the Free Press as well. Looks like Santil Jenkins of Thaw is running for mayor. Charity Dean is not running for mayor. You may remember she worked for the mayor and now has been working with Black business owners. She's out of the race. Joe Tate is someone that people talk about, and Garland Gilchrist is someone that people talk about. I think based on the conversations I had on Mackinac, it's more likely that Gilchrist will run for governor, which will be interesting because I can't remember a lieutenant governor who became governor, and I can't remember the last time a Republican replaced a Democrat. Was he a lieutenant governor?
Yeah, he and Romney left, went to D.C. and Milligan became the governor.
Well, there you go. And then Joe Tate. I think if Joe Tate got in the race, he'd be a game changer.
I never heard of Joe Tate before. I know he's the speaker, but where did he come from? Where did he come from?
If you live on the east side, he shows up everywhere. He's been a guy who's there, and he's the rare politician who listens more than he speaks, which I think is why he has a low profile. But if he gets in, he will have a lot of support come with him. He will have to establish that name ID across the city. But the thing is, I think all the people who helped him become speaker would never let him leave Lansing and leave that speakership. But so here's a scenario somebody put forward on Mackinac but I want to get back to Joe for just a minute because we all know Mary's running.
Right.
So that's not news. But the scenario that was run by me is that if the Democrats lose the majority in the legislature and Joe faces becoming the minority leader, running for mayor seems like a pretty good gig.
Yeah.
So, and of course, Mary Sheffield is running. We haven't heard otherwise. So the field is starting to fill in. I think there's going to be a couple more council people who throw their hat in the ring.
Coleman.
Possibly. He was up there with Ann Ivory, his mother. She and I shared a very cordial moment, given that I don't think she was really happy about me writing about her being on the city
Manchurian candidate.
Well, I didn't see anybody making out, but I think there'll also be another significant figure from outside politics who gets in that race. So we are far from having the field set for the mayor's race. But the one guy who I don't think we'll see running for mayor is the incumbent mayor. I think he's
he want to take his show on the road on 96.
Do you think he's definitely running for governor?
I think so. I can't see any reason he wouldn't. I haven't seen any indication that he would turn back.
Mark Hackle.
Well, so here's the thing about Mark Hackle. Every year he has a billboard. As you get to like Gaylord, it's something about Macomb County. I'm like, okay, I don't think anybody from Macomb County sees it. I don't think anybody from Gaylord's moving to Macomb County. But this year there were two billboards, one outside of Flint and then one in the Gaylord area, which really got people saying, okay, is Mark really pouring it on? And then he told Nolan Finley, I'm 6.5 on a scale of 1 to 10.
Oh, wow.
I think Mark likes attention. I think he likes being in a conversation.
What do you think?
Well, he said he's not going to vote.
He should become what he really is, a Republican. He truly is a Republican, and he should be Republican. He should do what your Uncle Joe did: leave the party and become an independent.
He's an old-time Democrat. You used to have Democrats like him, like David Bonnier, who was in there. We don't have them anymore. Bob Carr, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Bart Stupak up in the UP. We don't have those guys anymore. So a guy like Hackle is sort of a man without a country. Maybe he could draw votes from both sides, but he said he's not going to vote for or support Biden, and he says he doesn't like Trump either. Right. Whatever he does, Democrats are sure as hell going to remember that, and Republicans aren't going to forget that. So if he's running, the billboards are great, but don't be tripping on the way up the
Well, we're going to have you back, man. Yes.
I should have brought you guys some fudge.
No, thank you.
No.
That
doesn't do anything for me.
No,
I don't eat fudge.
Pure sugar, man.
No,
well, you can get that. That other kind of fudge.
Fudge in the truth?
No, fudge the edible.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
now we're talking.
Anyway, well, we're going to be back. Thank all our guests today. We're going to be back next week here at McShane's. Go ahead.
Yeah, for all the people that are supporting my run for judgeship, those that are viewers who said, where's your website and all of that. I think I made it clear a few weeks ago. I was challenged by Robert Davis. And the Secretary of State.
You and every other candidate.
Yeah, the Secretary of State came back with a decision that was not favorable to me. The Board of Canvassers stamped it. Now I'll be going to court. So you're not supporting someone that is not a fighter. I go in the courtroom and fight for people every day. Why wouldn't I fight for the people that are supporting me running for judge? So I just want to make sure that I let everybody know that.
Maybe you could use a good political consultant.
Yeah.
He's on board.
Yeah, right.
He's
And
on board.
there's no question that she's gonna do what she gotta do.
I'm doing what I have to do.
And to get taken off the ballot, technicality is a bunch of bullshit.
So they say, but it's not that as far as I'm concerned. But anyway, I disagree with that. That's why we're going to court. So
Thanks, my
keep
man.
supporting, stay posted, like, subscribe, share. We'll be back next Saturday. Same place, same time,
Teresa.
same energy. Thanks, Jim. Thanks, Teresa. Thank you all of the viewers, and thank you to both of our wonderful guests, as
Eric.
well as our resident co-host, Eric, who didn't have much to say. He was just talking from the side.